Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the American Soccer Club Zone on 98.3 KJOY Radio, 98.3 in Farmingdale, New York. Great radio station, iconic station here on Long Island. We're excited for this show today. We've had an incredible American Soccer Club season, and that's what this show is based on. But it's also based on everything American soccer and everything soccer in general. The first thing we like to do is thank our sponsors that have made this all possible, starting with LifeVac. At the front of our Jersey front partners, LifeVac have saved over 4,000 lives to date. Another Massapequa, Long Island founder and CEO, Artie Lee, and his LifeVackers around the country are on a mission to save lives. The American Soccer Club are proud partners in that noble endeavor. Our other incredible partner, which is on the back of our jerseys, Orland & Cohen Orthopedic Group. We've kept them busy this year with a bunch of injuries, nothing too serious, thank God, but they're a division of Northwell Health and a phenomenal group. Our Jersey-backed partners, they're incredible. Orland & Cohen and also Long Island-based came out of here. All of our doctors are fantastic, state-of-the-art facilities. They help our they help our athletes get back in the game. Our uniform and apparel partner, and our first partnership that we really forged in this journey with launching the American Soccer Club in 2025. Is Macron. The Bologna, Italy-based Macron is also based in Bridgeport, Connecticut, just a ferry ride from our headquarters here in Long Island, and they have been just a fantastic partner, and these are all long-term partners that we started out with. We also have some other great partners, and there's a theme to all of our partners. They're very much local, because that's what we're about. The Bongiorno Law Firm in Garden City is also Long Island's best personal injury law firm, and A-Turf, America's top synthetic turf manufacturer. A-Turf Fields last in industry, leading 14.5 years. Their Buffalo Bills Stadium to the Sousa FC Orland & Cohen Sports Complex. A-Turf provides a playing surface most like natural grass in pristine condition. BQE Soccer Partners are the architects of the American Soccer Club New York. Kevin Reardon and Jim Kilmeade founded that organization over 10 years ago and have helped launch the American Soccer Club New York this year. And, of course, Todd Shapiro and Associates, the top PR agency probably in the country, but definitely in the New York metropolitan East Coast area. Incredible people and great partnership that has helped us really have unprecedented coverage for a first-year lower division men's premier soccer team in the United States. Thank you, Todd Shapiro and Associates. Our producer is Marcus Ferreira, and he's our guy today. But our special guest today is Brian Neumeier. Brian Neumeier is not only a friend of mine, but he's an incredibly accomplished soccer person, and he's got Long Island roots, and he's going to tell you all about them. They started in Suffolk County, was part of a generation of probably some of the most talented players that have ever come out of Long Island. Brian Neumeier will tell you about that. But Brian also is the director of operations of the men's soccer team at Sacred Heart University in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Beautiful school, fantastic school. He's also our sporting director and consultant with the American Soccer Club. He's been invaluable in launching the club. Hey, Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim, for having me.
Feel free to use your Long Island accent if you haven't lost it in Connecticut, living there all these years now. You can feel free to just let it be a little bit and relax, carry those R's, whatever you got to do.
It's been so comfortable to be back on the island more than I have been in the past. You know, just shooting back and connecting with old friends and colleagues and teammates, all because of this project. So excited to be part of, the growth or the rebirth of Long Island soccer, which is, and New York soccer in general with American Soccer Club.
Yeah, Brian, I think you can see, and you have been spending a lot of time on the ferry and then driving around, which is no fun, but it's usually been a great destination. But the good news is a lot of the teams that we played this year have been Connecticut. We have two of the better teams that are actually now in the conference finals, Hartford and New Haven. New Haven we had beaten and tied and lost, and Hartford, who we lost to 4-3 and tied 1-1. So, our club is very close to being at the top of the heap, but this year was a great learning experience. And before we get into that, I'd just like you to share a little bit about your history where you grew up, the soccer clubs you played for, a couple of key coaches that influenced you big. I do know you played in the Long Island Select program when it was the marquee program, maybe in Lower New York State. And I know Doc Lawson was a coach, but why don't you take it back to how old were you when you first started to play?
You know what? I think like everyone, you have that older brother or that older cousin that it kind of drags you into it. And especially back when we started to play, there were some ethnic groups that, they jumped into it immediately. But me being an American on Long Island, that opportunity didn't really come from the community. It came from my older cousin, who, in his own right, was a pretty good soccer player at St. Anthony's, and then went on to play at Dowling College, Mike Gibbons. But, I saw him playing, and I jumped into it, and from the go, I just fell in love with the sport, like we all do, and why we're all still part of it. But, those early experiences with Long Island Junior, it's really what shaped my competitive foundation.
What was your local club that you started with?
Local? It started with Sachem. Sachem Warriors. Yeah. Tomahawks, the team above us, was a girls' team that had national exposure, some really good players on that team. Joe Scally's mom was on that team. Margaret, right?
Yeah.
Margaret Perugine, she was on that Tomahawks team that had national exposure back in the day. 1971 girls team. I played on the 72 boys team that we went to, regional championships, won 8 championships, and then from there, with Long Island Select still being what it was, it's not even. I don't know if it even exists anymore. But it was really, at the time, a way to collect the best players and put them in one arena and one team. And I think that, the vision of American Soccer Club, because back then, Long Island Select didn't really cost any money. And there weren't a lot of paid coaches when they played. So these were all free or very, very minimum charges to these clubs and opportunities. So from there, we made an all-star team called the Bayshore Express, and that's the one that kind of took off at U16 through U19. And, I think we probably had 16, 17 college players from, national championship players at the D2 level, myself, Richie Wisdom, Court Weinstein, George Kiefer, Reynolds Martin, and from North Carolina, Santa Clara, University of Virginia, Rutgers, St. John's. We covered it all. It was a great club and a great time to be around, the golden era of Long Island youth soccer, like you said.
It really was, and the age group before you was so strong, and the couple of years after you was so strong, and in that mix were the Travis Rinkers and the Kevin Andersons and the
absolutely.
And I can go on, and he had in slightly different age groups. You had the Mark Semiolis up in Hauppauge and Tommy Lips, Mike Masters out of Wheatley. It was really an incredible era, and and we've heard me say this a lot, but in some ways we have more good players now, but I don't think we have more really high level players as you came up with. And as I said, I'm a few years ahead of you, older than you is probably a better way to say it, but. But I remember that, and I remember coaching in Long Island Select as an assistant coach, and you had the top coaches in the country in our area, from Bob Montgomery on down, Tommy Lang. We had Frank Schnorr from Fordham.
Schnorr.
You had all these great coaches coaching in Select, and man, it was unbelievable. And then what's happened is we've kind of now that the game is so advanced, it has advanced in so many ways, but in some ways I felt Long Island has kind of lost its way. We don't have the identity that we had when you grew up, or even the generations after you. And that's one of the reasons we feel there's such a great place for the American Soccer Club New York to become that champion, the flag, the banner for the players around here.
Well, I think what we're trying to create, and the vision that we have is in some ways to bring that Long Island Select back. How do we create a central pool of talent, which we had? None of us played on other clubs or in different leagues. We were all part of Long Island Junior. We were all part of Long Island Select, the best players. None of that pool of players went anywhere else. And, I think from a competitive standpoint, a community standpoint, we all really love to play with each other and against each other. And we need to kind of bring that back.
Right, and it was one of the reasons that we were able to, back in the 90s and again in the mid-2000s, to put a franchise together, which I was happy to have named and created with a couple of attorneys, called the Rough Riders, which was essentially a lot of the guys you grew up with and you played with. We just brought them back home, and in some cases, the Chris Armistice were coming right out of college at the time that we were starting, and the rest is history. It's a different time now, but the formula, I think, is similar, very similar.
I agree.
Hey, before we get into more American Soccer Club stuff, which is this show is all about, I would like to say that the college game is such a different game now, too. I'm a Hofstra guy. I played when they were called the Flying Dutchman, when people didn't think that was an offensive name. And now it's called something else, called the Pride. But you played at Southern Connecticut, which is a national powerhouse forever.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've been coaching in high school. Can I take us through briefly all the coaching that you've done in Connecticut, if you can? I only have a half-hour show, but I'm sure you can get it in.
Yeah. So briefly, my coaching career, I got married and moved from Long Island up here, began coaching at the high school level in 1997. And I worked in a town, very, very community-orientated, called Newtown. Worked there for 20 years. I built a program that was named one of the top 10 programs of the decade by Danbury News Times. At one point, we had 200 wins and 5 losses.
Incredible.
In a 5-year run. But again, all down to the players and the grassroots. We had one player actually go on to Wake Forest and win a national championship at Wake Forest, and he was also named the Herman Trophy winner at Wake. His name is Marcus Tracy. Probably the best player ever to come out of Connecticut. Came out of our program.
What's his name?
Marcus Tracy.
Oh yeah, I remember that name.
Yeah, just a tremendous player. And he went on. He would have been the number 1 pick in the MLS, and he chose to go play overseas. And he was in our national team pool for a little bit, and unfortunately, due to injuries, he just could never really get it going. So at 27, he retired prematurely. He now works for the MLS in some key roles. But from there, I found within that time, I founded one of the most successful premier programs in Connecticut called Samba TTP. We later merged with Connecticut Football Club, which I was a partner, owner, a coach with over 90 teams throughout the state of Connecticut. Recently, I moved out of the position. During that time, I was also helping out as an assistant coach at Post University, a national powerhouse at the Division II level. A great friend of mine, Teddy Haley, is the head coach there. And I also worked I was a head coach at a prep school, local, called Fairfield Prep, for 3 years. And I've since then taken on the role of Director of Soccer Operations at Sacred Heart, a D1 program where my son also played there for 4 years. My other son, Andrew, played at Gettysburg for 3 years. So I wear a lot of different hats in terms of being part of all levels of soccer, from youth soccer to high school soccer to college soccer to being a parent of 2 collegiate soccer athletes. And then also I had experience previously as a national championship general manager, as you did with the Rough Riders. I held that position for the Elm City Express in 2017 when we won it. And now my role with Sacred Heart is, fundraising, volunteering with the community, overseeing logistics, recruitment support, anything that I can do off the field for our coaching staff. And then on game days, I'm part of game analysis, and I'm on the sideline with the guys.
Yeah, it's quite an extensive career formed by just passion, too. And obviously you're a teacher as well, been for a long time, an educator. This is perfect. It just shows what you can do in education. When you have passion for other things, they work out perfectly well with your educational career. Is it fair of me to ask you what your most memorable role is, or roles in all of this, from the youth to the college to the high school to Elm City and the NPSL?
That's a fair question, but I think with our experiences and and you could probably reflect back and look at all these too. All of them have something that has really deep meaning. You know, a state championship with the Newtown High School team and going undefeated and doing all those things was amazing. It was amazing. Youth championships, going out and playing in Colorado, representing Connecticut with my two boys as part of the club, and being amazing. You know, post-university winning back-to-back-to-back conference championships, Fairfield Prep state semifinals, losing in penalty. Like, everything about soccer, I don't think there's a bad day when you're part of it, even if you're on the losing side. It's all just part of your fabric and your being and your story of who you are. And that's why we keep coming back to it. And I love doing it.
Yeah, it's great. Well, obviously, you have to do it for love. This is not a money grab. This is not anything. You put a lot into it. You help a lot of kids, and you mentor a lot of kids, and you build a reputation in the sport, which you have. And I think that's part of what we're trying to put together with the American Soccer Club of New York this year. Is that we've, in our sporting committee, we have people like Bob Montgomery, 13 years with the Red Bull Academy, essentially launched it. Also, 30-some years at Adelphi University, state select regional coach. As an advisor, Mark Luger's 16, 17-year professional playing career, Fordham grad, and a UEFA coaching license with a big Spanish meaning. So we have these guys, and Farouk Qureshi and Perry Vanderbeck and Jim Rooney, to advise us. And then internally we have, obviously, Kevin, my managing partner, with a great soccer background of his own, but also a really great real estate financial background to support the club's infrastructure of where we're going to be going and needing sometimes in the very near future. And yourself and others is one of the reasons we're so encouraged, although we didn't achieve one of our goals, which is to get to the playoffs this year. We ultimately had a successful season as far as accomplishing the fact that we have done something that hasn't been done in a while. This is a different kind of an organization. What do you think the strengths of from your position, as a kind of a sporting director and a consultant here, really happy to help with anything, Brian. I know you're always willing to help in any area we're working with, whether it be with players or commercial partners, and that probably is going to evolve over time, as we now are in technically our first off season. What do you think some of the most memorable things that will be foundational for us going forward from your perspective? Although you engage with the team and all the administration for the team, you're also involved with some off-the-field projects as well.
Yeah. I think the vision of ASC, where we're trying to really connect with all youth systems. We don't care what the acronyms are. We don't care where they are or what they've done. We want to be there to offer a competitive, community-driven platform for all of the people that want to be involved with us. And I think, we did that right off the cuff, right in year one, with bringing in a local 16-year-old, right, Dylan Lopez, where he came into the fold. No, he's not giving, our players are not giving those opportunities if we're not offering them. And that's what we're going to be able to do for Long Island and the greater metro, hopefully as they start to come out and we can provide those opportunities for them.
Couldn't agree more. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the American Soccer Club Zone here in New York, Farmingdale here at KJOY, 98.3 on your FM dial. Your host is Jim Kilmeade. That's me. I'm listening to and speaking with our great guest, Brian Neumeier, Long Island native and prodigious Connecticut soccer coach and educator, and now all together with our team here on Long Island, the American Soccer Club New York. So, Brian, we fell just short, literally just short, a goal or two short in our final game to get into the playoffs. I look forward to next year. I wish it was starting in a month because I think I know Coach John Fitzgerald feels that way. Our players feel that way. So we're going to look to bolster the team, make it better. But I will tell you that we've done over 30 appearances in season because as we really haven't had no season, we've been involved with the biggest clubs in LGN, Atlantic FC, Sousa, Massapequa Soccer Club. We've also been involved with very small clubs like West Hempstead and Limbrook, East Rockaway, Showtime Training Academy, wonderful people. And flashing back from my own career, the difference now with all the soccer we have and all the money and all the careers and all the other stuff that we can lament and or celebrate, or a little bit of both, is that I'm finding that the enthusiasm gap is huge. And some of these little community clubs that are not fighting for that top 5% players, they've really got it right. They're just selling the sport and the experience of playing the sport and having friends. They're not worried about some of the things that we've been talking about by winning a state championship or even being a player who's going to play in college or high school. And I find that always existed, but I found now, because of the way things have happened in this country, the way soccer has now, quote unquote, academies, which is a name that probably needs to be retitled because it doesn't mean what it used to mean. You can just say you're an academy and you're an academy now, but it used to be an academy was a higher level of an organization, and in many cases fully funded, which is what we will have at the American Soccer Club sooner than later. A fully funded academy, so we can find that next Joe Scally, and maybe Dylan Lopez will be one of our first players that we are able to launch and help his dream come true in Spain. But I found the enthusiasm in West Hempstead and in East Rockaway. These are the clubs that came to us. They came to us on their own. And then we actually gave back to their community. And I find this amazing that is the biggest difference I've noticed this year, is that those groups don't even know about MLS Next 1 or 2 or 3. So what's your thoughts on where things are at? And as I said, we only have one show to do this in. Yeah. When you see MLS 1, MLS 2, MLS, there's going to be a 3 and a 4. And I know it's in Connecticut, too. In fact, you have that Bridgeport team, Connecticut Football Club, I believe it's called. Or was that wrong?
Yeah. No, that's correct. Yeah.
Where they're going to be launching an MLS, quote-unquote, Next Pro team, which will be a Division III team. They have a youth academy out there now. How do you see this all affecting not only what we're doing here at the American Soccer Club, but the American soccer in general? And I guess we just focus on Connecticut and Long Island right now. Yeah.
Well, just real quick, I'm going to just back up. I'm sure people that are listening are soccer people, so they're watching this tournament that they thought was going to flop this summer called the Club World Cup. Yesterday, Real Madrid played PSG, and the day before it was Chelsea. So if you look in the stands and the passion of 70,000 people watching this game, these are the Rockaway youth players. These are the West Hempstead youth players that are becoming. They're not going to be necessarily professionals, but they're going to build the sport because they're going to be fans of the sport, and they're going to buy the sport, and that's what grows the sport too. So we can't always just look at, training and trying to find we need people to watch. We need people to be passionate about it, and it comes from players that, people that have played a little bit, their kids have played, these volunteers, these great volunteers that you've mentioned, all these clubs that have come to our games. And that also grows the sport, and we can't lose sight of that, But going back to your question with all of these leagues and MLS 1 and 2, it's the Wild West right now. We don't know where this is going to go. What we do know is globally, clubs that have real development don't have excessive cost barriers. So meaning in Germany, in Holland, in France, these players at whatever level get to enjoy the sport for free. And here we understand that it's business as usual, and all these decisions are really driven not necessarily always for the good of the sport, but really just for the check at the end.
I agree, and that's where we come in. And I think some of the successes that we'll be putting down in writing and analyzing in a more detailed way going forward for the American Soccer Club in its first year in the National Premier Soccer League, the NPSL, is we've given some young players, coaches, moms and dads, some great experiences primarily on game days, whether it be at Allegheny Elementary School in Lindenhurst, where I saw a connection made between one or two of our players and a handful of kids that resulted in them coming to a game against Hartford and autographs being given. I know that is something that goes home, and that poster goes on the wall. So there is no fast way of doing this, but I did see quite a bit of traction in relationships building because our players are accessible, and they're going to be even more accessible next year because now we have an off season to go out and work in the community and make more relationships. It still comes down to personal contact, in my opinion, personally. And now we're going to go out there, and our goal is to do 100 appearances, which we will not charge for, and run 2 or 3 programs that will be part of the foundational success, which, you'll be part of those meetings, Brian, as you know, and we're going to all come up with the best ideas. No one has the only thing, but together I think we'll come up with some good ideas to help get this club to the next level. So I don't know what your thoughts are. How would you sum up the season as we come to the end of our show here today?
How do we sum up the season? I think we've accomplished much more than I thought we would in the time frame and the runway we gave ourselves. You and Kevin have done a phenomenal job dreaming this up and making it a reality. But when you wake up and it is a reality, it's a lot different than the dream. We run into, there's a ton of issues that, not disclosing what those are, that we ran into this year. But we overcame them all. No one really could see it, even if it was on a game day blip. And we put out the best product that we can, and we stayed true to the vision of what this club is going to be. And we didn't chase wins. We want to win, of course, but that is not going to be how this club is ever defined. It has to be about all the other stuff. It has to be about the community, bringing the right people into the group, which you've done a phenomenal job. And the only reason that I love to be a part of it, because there's such great people. The people that I've known in the past, like Coach Montgomery, that I had when I was 12 years old or 14 years old and played for him on Long Island Select, to reignite those relationships or to find new ones within the group has just been tremendous. And as that continues, deeper community ties, making sure the players feel seen, supported, mentorship, outreach, club development. We've done all of that the best that we can. And I'm proud of everything that went on in those areas. On the field, bumps and bounces, a goal here, a goal there, and it looks different. But this is a great story. I was at a retirement for Coach DeCranian, and Bob DeCranian is the godfather of Connecticut soccer. People don't know. Of Connecticut soccer. And Ray Reid stood up and told a story. Bob DeCranian didn't like to drive. Didn't like to fly. So he always drove down to the national championship in Florida. So he drove down. They lost. He drives home. 2 years later, drives down. They win. And he's driving home, and he said something to when he got back. He's like, the whole time I'm thinking, a goal makes that much of a difference. One goal makes that much of a difference to what we accomplished. Right. He's like, he appreciated the national championship, but he was just as proud of the team that made it to the final. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. Such a good point. We look at it at wins and losses, and we're much deeper than that. That is such a good point, because that is exactly the difference. And listen, Brian, you mentioned that we have put a lot of great people in and around the organization, and you're one of those people, and you're one of the reasons we've established ourselves. I will tell all of our fans for the American Soccer Club New York on the American Soccer Club New York Zone today that there's a upcoming piece on Dylan Lopez and the club on CBS Sports is coming out in the coming days. And also on Monday, tomorrow, will be my brother Brian and I, as he's an investor with our club, will be giving an interview on Fox 5 New York at 6 o'clock. So we've gotten quite a bit of attention. New York Post has been phenomenal. Alex Mitchell
and maybe we'll get one of those guys on here. But, Brian, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on today and making some time. The best is yet to come for the American Soccer Club.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to thank once again my great producer here, Marcus Faria, and our sponsors, LifeVac, Orland & Corn Orthopedic Group, a division of Northwell Health, Macron, the incredible Macron Company, Bongiorno Law Firm, A-Turf, BQE Soccer Partners, and, of course, last but not least, Todd Shapiro Associates, and 98.3 KJOY Radio here in Farmingdale, New York. We'll see you next week. This is Jim Kilmeade signing off from the American Soccer Club Zone. See you next week.